You're watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. Welcome to our news. The headlines. Schemes to remove me from the ballot will not work, says HH as UPND holds elective Congress. Measures to stabilize fuel prices, a cosmetic charges pack. LUSAKA water utility in a 143 million KWACHA financing deficit due to COVID-19. In international news, conflict on Sudan with Ethiopia hurts farming industry. And in sports news, Manchester United held in 1-1 draw by West Brom. For the details, join me shortly after this break.
2021 is finally here. Zambia is at the crossroads heading towards general elections this August. In the world where fake news, biased reporting on national issues has become the order of the day, in a world where social media in most cases spills lies and exaggerated information, insightful coverage, Zambia needs one media. Living in a country where people are slowly promoting tribalism, hatred, bitterness and revenge, political temperature is heating up and people's hearts are perplexed. Zambia needs one media. Zambia being a Christian nation living under the lordship of Jesus Christ, the nation cannot afford a compromised gospel. Zambia needs a prophetic media house. For hope, peace and unity, Zambia needs Camnet television for non-biased, factual reporting, balanced opinion, accurate news coverage. Zambia needs Camnet television for national projects and development of our beloved country Zambia. Watch Camnet TV on channel 274 DSTV, channel 98 on Go TV, and channel 106 on Topstar. Remember, Camnet TV is not just another channel.
With the details, my name is Liseli Kanyanga. Triumph Foundation's Chief Executive Officer, Hola Simbeye, says God cannot give you anything beyond your capability, urging all those going through various challenges to put their trust in God. Speaking to journalists to mark the 2 years of Triumph Foundation Sunday, Mrs. Simbeye notes that the foundation has in the past 2 years made tremendous gains through its outreach programs at various health centers, schools, and generally various communities. She says the foundation's focus is to empower the girl child with knowledge and skills that will make them viable members of society. In the meantime, Triumph Foundation Executive Director Kenneth Simbeye says a plan has been devised which will see people being empowered not only with food but skills. More in this report.
Whoever lends a hand to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will repay him for his deed. This is one of the Bible lessons that Triumph Foundation lives by. In marking its second-year anniversary, Foundation Chief Executive Officer Hola Simbeye reaffirmed the Foundation's commitment in uplifting the lives of the people, especially the girl child. The commemoration was held in LUSAKA at Sons and Daughters of Light Church.
In 2 years, God have been faithful. I've never missed any outreach, and I'm still going to the first level hospital, and I want to encourage somebody out there to say it's not yet over until God says it's over. You know, the Bible says, who started the work in us shall always accomplish it. And I want to encourage somebody out there to say there is God in heaven who always sees our tears, and it's not too late for that somebody there. Don't lose hope. The Bible says in Ezekiel to say, he said, prophesy to the dry bones and they came back to life. In every situation, God has a say in whatever we pass through. There is a hand of God, and God cannot give you something which you cannot handle. Always believe God in whatever we are doing. And I want to encourage, as we are celebrating Triumph Foundation, as a vision carrier of Triumph Foundation, I'm looking forward to touch lives, and my motto is to educate the girl child.
Just feed the families, but we should empower them. If we gather them, they make like a committee, and then they come up with a project. Then as a foundation, we finance that project. Then we are going to support many people in those families. So that is the plan which I have drafted this year. We should go a step further, not only feeding, not only sponsoring, but empowering the community also. That's when we can end poverty. poverty is defeatable. We can defeat poverty when we unite. Immediately when God gives you little resources, then you go and lift others. You go down there and lift someone who is down. And then that person you have lifted, he or she will go back and lift another person.
Other clergy were also present to help celebrate the 2 years anniversary with a call for the foundation to continue helping the vulnerable in society.
Foundation, we have benefited as a ministry, like it was last week where we have 4 students who are taken to university. So with me as a vision carrier, I think through the foundation, we are bringing restoration to people in the society, and this thing, it is helping us a lot.
Feeding people, at the Chapter Level 1 clinic every Tuesday. They get there to attend to the patients, and that is the work of Christ. So when you see it getting duplicated in God's people, surely you have to stand with them and support them and encourage them.
The icing on the cake was a chorus from Destiny Songe.
Landeni pochimo pamwe oandi, landeni pochimo pamwe oandi lesae, landeni pochimo pamwe oandi. I believe it has been the cry of the people they are helping, and God raised a woman and her partners to be able to speak in their lives, not only speaking, but God has raised her to minister, and not just spiritually, but also physically, to meet their needs. And we are grateful to God for raising her for such a time like this.
Sharon Kalimula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The impact of the COVID-19 pandemic has been devastating to the water sector, owing to increased operational costs coupled with the low compliance levels in paying for water bills, as LUSAKA Water and Sanitation Company records a financing deficit of 143 million kwacha. LUSAKA Water and Sanitation Company Managing Director Jonathan Kampata tells Camnet TV News that provided people honor their commitment to pay their bills, the situation can improve. Mr. Kampata says he is cognizant that the COVID-19 pandemic has affected all sectors, hence they have been engaging their clients to ensure to come up with flexible payment plans, adding that service disconnection is the last resort. Details in this report.
Mankind is witnessing the worst attack of pathogens that ever happened. This attack has been identified as a global pandemic that has no mercy to any nation, irrespective of its economic condition or healthcare system. The water sector has not been spared from the effects of the COVID-19. An analysis undertaken by the National Water Supply and Sanitation Council (NWASCO) to determine the impact of the disease on the subsector reviewed a drastic decrease of revenue collection from April 2020 following the directive of non-withdrawal of service. Further, the slowing down of economic activities at the height of the COVID-19 disease affected people's willingness to pay for water bills. According to the analysis, collections across some water utilities overwhelmingly dwindled by 25% on average, with some going as low as 50%. The situation put water utilities in uncharted waters and threatened their operation sustainability, as people have not been able to replicate the gesture they portray when experiencing water blues to paying for water bills. To get clarity on this matter, I engaged the LUSAKA Water and Sanitation Company. The situation has been bad. Jonathan Kampata is the company's managing director.
It disrupted a lot of businesses, even the economic status of people was also affected, and we saw that decline in the payments. And the worst was in May 2020, where we had a decline of 46% in our revenue. So that greatly affected our inability to provide the service, because we need to buy chemicals, we need to pay for electricity, we need to do all these things.
He adds that they have a financing deficit of 143 million kwacha, among other setbacks.
We had an increase in terms of operating budget by 27%. so to ensure that all our IT systems are in place. Now, by doing that, we also have to look at what's the impact on our overall financing and as a company, putting in place the measures of the COVID-19. And again, working with our colleagues from the World Bank, they developed a tool which all utilities in the member countries where they're working have to use to look at the financing deficits which they may have. So as a utility, we actually have a financing deficit of about 143 million as a result of the COVID-19. This is up to February 2021. But we feel that with the support of our customers paying their bills, this will, obviously, our cash flows will be enhanced.
I spoke to NWASCO Chief Inspector Peter Mutale to get an overview of the situation.
Support from government and corporate, but it's caution, but not like to the extent that we would have wanted it to be. So we're just hoping that this 2021 will be different in the sense that now we have learned lessons that this COVID-19 it will be with us for some time. And as our head of state mentioned, that we need to now move into a new normal. So it means that even when it comes to disconnections, of course with discretion, that has to be looked at so that commercial utilities continue to operate.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
The residents of Kimasala, one of the oldest compounds in Solwezi district, have bemoaned the deplorable state of the roads in the area. They are concerned that while other places in the country have good roads, it is not the case in Kimasala. Residents of that compound have asked the Solwezi Municipal Council to work on the roads so that they can be passable. One of the residents told Camnet TV News that the roads were last worked on during the tenure of the United National Independence Party UNIP under the presidency of Dr. Kenneth Kaunda.
Twamona muno mukimasala imisebo yabi pasana mu compound. Tapisha mina ningo bochu kwenda ile tushupa sana. Enkame shibaronga yalo kefa kuti twende abani ke bani bakwa kusukulu kwele shupika sana futhi kuti mutu ende ele shupika sana kwenda bato balu wamesha akale sana kapi ndi bakaunte filo babishe muna ni bawamesha imisebwe bato bakulu bakanso tikali bangesa pumukisa kupita utanga bato wamesha kupisha mu grade inga muko bitweka kwata ko kwenda bwino mwetu shupa sana kwenda mukimasala kwenda mu compound imisebo sanga chimisemo she imisebo yabipa enkambe nshinga yalo kefi wana luka tashura kine.
The opposition leadership movement says lack of a proper governance system has made it impossible for the majority Zambians to enjoy the existence of many milling companies through the provision of a cheap milling meal. Party President Richard Silumbe says there are a lot of milling companies in the country, yet prices of the staple food remains high. He says there is need to bring down the prices of milling meal to an amount that every Zambian will be able to afford.
We want as leadership movement to come in and produce enough maize so that we can reduce the price of milling meal to a price, say 20 kwacha, so that everybody can afford. And we want to ensure that all these milling companies who are in business, they can produce their milling meal and export to Congo if they want to make profit, wherever they want to sell. But us as leadership movement, as government, we are going to participate in the production. We want to absorb as many youths as possible from the streets and get them to production. We are going to have state farms in every district.
The People Alliance for Change, PAC, has pointed out that the measures the government has put in place to stabilize the price of fuel and reduce load shedding are cosmetic and are meant to hoodwink the people into voting for the Patriotic Front ahead of the August elections. To avoid a fuel pump price adjustment, the government announced the removal of excess duty on diesel, while excess duty on petrol has been reduced to 0.64 ngwe per litre from 2.07 KWACHA to maintain the fuel pump prices. But PAC President Adifodi Banda believes measures are temporal and will be reversed provided the Patriotic Front wins the elections. Mr. Banda has since urged citizens to take interest in various policy pronouncements being made prior to the poll day to be able to make informed decisions.
First of all, the PF know that, it will be suicidal for them to increase the fuel prices at this time of the year as we are going to the elections. As we go towards the elections, we are going to see a whole lot of things that are going to come to an end. And you must remember that, in as much as they are going to say that load shedding is going to end, load shedding is just going to end in the places where either people talk too much or where they feel that they've got some level of support from the public. The idea of suspending duty, I agree with you. For the longest period, the KWACHA has been depreciating. Now it's running towards 22 KWACHA, but we have not seen fuel prices going up because of some unsustainable arrangements that the government has done. We don't believe these are sustainable, and I think we've seen this from the 2016 elections. We saw that they had increased electricity prices. I think you remember.
National Restoration Party has launched a youth empowerment program in Lusaka, beginning with the Church of Central African Presbyterian KWACHA congregation youths. Speaking at the launch, party leader Stephen Nyirenda says Zambia, whose majority of its population are youths, need to be empowered with the knowledge and skills. He explains that the empowerment program will focus on skills development before giving out any form of money so that people understand the path they're embarking on. He says the program will focus on plumbing and carpentry, among other skills. Meanwhile, Mr. Nyirenda asked the congregants, who were mainly youths, to give Narap a chance to lead this country for guaranteed development, which he says will be achieved within a period of 10 years.
Manje tichita register monga pano tizachita register pano tizaphunzisira pamene pano ngati nkushokerera kupanga vosevererapo bana tizavishokerera pamene pano. Mulibwanji ava vana nirengesa kuti ine ndisazigona 6 months ningophunzisa chapa but manje nikondwera mwaona very powerful journalist ronse ava naphunzisa 6 months is another physical that you can so ndiye vifunika hivyo zikomo that matikonka mutichitereko vamene mfunika kuchita imirira pano chino chalo chiri mumavuto sembe chiri mumavuto sembe panja pasipaliso sinzaenda na kutali sembe panja sipaliso kuchoka chape muno sembe muli pa paving stones sembe ma flowers yaliko sembe vonse viliko sinza kamba vambiri but muzizivira mweka vamene nikamba chamene nzakambako chikulu tinga nkhale panja paja tinga kambe tinga imbe tinga fake group pamozi yamene ingachite vabwino but ngati tilibe mandate tilibe authority yonkhalapo paja pampando kuti tivichite sivazasevenza chamene nzakambako vakamba kuti don't I'm not campaigning but nigulisa leadership yatu ya mnarepo ndigulisa.
United Party for National Development leader Hakainde Hichilema says schemes to remove him from the ballot will not work, as he outlined the party's agenda beyond the August 12th general election, saying they would want to restore social and political sanity in the country. Speaking when he officiated at the party's national convention themed Reuniting and Rebuilding Zambia, Mr. Hichilema has urged citizens not to lose hope. The opposition leader says people cannot share poverty but wealth, hence priority will be directed towards revamping the economy through an effective economic management plan. He has assured to address joblessness, poverty and inequalities across the country regardless of people's political or tribal inclination.
It is now that time when political parties get ready to compete for a race to govern Zambia. Among major political parties in the country, the opposition United Party for National Development, UPND, has led the way in hosting a convention, and it is now more certain that Hakainde Hichilema will represent the party for the presidency after going unopposed. Members of the opposition UPND gathered in various parts of the country for the party's elective General Assembly, being held virtually in accordance with the public health guidelines. And the UPND has set out its agenda for Zambia when given a mandate to rule, anchored on reuniting the country, reviving the local economy, poverty alleviation, job creation, and facilitating opportunities for Zambians to thrive in their businesses. And in his address to the over 3 million delegates, Mr. Hichilema assured that the party will participate in the August general elections despite schemes by some opponents to remove him from the ballot paper.
Working together, we can retrieve our country from total degradation. I say that UPND is a platform, a great platform. I confirm that with your confidence, we will be running for the presidency of this country come 12 August 2021. Don't worry about the schemes to remove us from the ballot paper. You will put us on the ballot paper. You, the people of Zambia.
Mr. Hichilema says 2021 is a year the electorate will vote for hope and the emancipation of their lives, as the UPND's goal is to alleviate people's suffering by uplifting their living standards. He says this will be done by working on the economy through an effective recovery plan. And the opposition leader has assured that oppression of citizens in markets and bus stations will soon come to an end, provided the UPND is accorded an opportunity to govern.
About a sense where you leave your house as a woman marketeer to go to your market store will be there because you left it intact yesterday. Yeah. And no one, and I mean no one, will take away your right to income by banishing you from that market store because you don't belong to a ruling party. Yeah.
Meanwhile, UPND National Chairperson Mutalena Lumango says the opposition political party intends to reunite the country.
Reunite our nation once again. The word is not uniting. We are using the word today, reuniting, because we were once one Zambia, one nation for real. Practically today, it will be difficult to say that, because colleagues that have this mandate have failed to put Zambians together. In fact, they have worked so hard to try and separate us and make Zambia divided. But our purpose for coming in is to reunite the nation of Zambia.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Zambian Institute of Governance and Civil Liberties Advocacy Platform, ZIGCLAP, has expressed disappointment at the manner in which the opposition, United Party for National Development, UPND, are conducting their intra-party elections. Organization's director, Francis Chipili, notes that the supreme law of the land dictates that all political parties must often conduct intra-party democratic elections, which he says is not the case with the UPND. Mr. Chipili further is disappointed that the presidential position has gone unopposed, thus questioning the party's internal democracy. Meanwhile, ZICLUB says the UPND has failed the litmus test of conducting transparent elections by denying accreditation to many of the civil society entities that wanted to monitor the UPND intra-party elections.
ZICLUB disappointed with the UPND pre-intra-party elections conduct. The Zambian Institute of Governance and Civil Liberties Advocacy Platform, ZICLUB, is greatly disappointed with the manner the United Party for National Development, UPND, has conducted itself during its pre-intra-party elections. The Republican Constitution has provision which dictates that all political parties must regularly conduct intra-party democratic elections. However, what is obtaining in the UPND is total mockery of democracy. The UPND, as Zambia's largest opposition party, must demonstrate its commitment to nurturing and the promotion of the growth of democracy in the country through its internal party elections. It's unacceptable for the UPND to have a party president position to go unopposed, considering that the party has not conducted any elections over a 10 years period. It's clearly display of intimidation within the UPND. It's unacceptable in the 21st century to have members intimidated and fail to participate or challenge the incumbent. It's undemocratic.
An electoral expert, McDonald Chipenzi, regrets that the country missed an opportunity to capture more people as voters ahead of the August polls by allocating limited time towards the voter registration exercise while giving the voter verification process ample time. Last week, ECZ launched the electronic inspection of the provisional register of voters running from the 7th of February up to May 7th, 2021. Mr. Chipenzi has since questioned the rationale the electoral body has been using in making some of its decisions in the electoral process. He has, however, called on the people to take advantage of the process to verify their details.
And the issue of reducing the number of days for registration was basically the issue of funding and not time. We argued to say that even if they ended in March, they will still have time to verify, because the certification of the register it can even be done in July and not in May, because in May was actually differentializing a number of individuals who are turning of age after 10th May, after 9th May, up to 12th of August. The fact remains that anyone who will be 18 on the 12th of August is supposed to be registered as a voter, because that's an event. So for them to have rushed the registration and give more time to verification is basically not being sincere to the process. However, we want to encourage all those that registered to use this time to go and register, to go and verify their details. We wished that those 90 days, 30 days, or 60 days that have been given for registration, for verification, were given to the registration process. We would have captured perhaps 100% of all eligible voters in this country. But unfortunately, the ECZ played tricks.
We take our first set of commercials, so stay with us as we have more interesting stories lined up for you.
We all miss the days we would play outside, go to school, and visit fun places. But now, We all have to take care to prevent the coronavirus. Viruses are really tiny particles that we can't see with just our eyes, so we need to keep ourselves safe by practicing good hygiene, such as washing our hands with soap and clean water regularly. We can also use hand sanitizer to keep our hands clean. It's also important for us to keep our bodies and surroundings clean. We must also avoid handshakes, hugs, and standing close to other people in public places. This is called social distancing. The coronavirus has affected millions of people around the world, so we need to stay safe. In the meantime, we can keep ourselves busy by reading a book, watching TV, and doing some schoolwork. There's so much we can do indoors. Stay safe, stay home, and prevent COVID-19. We're all in this together.
This advert is sponsored by the Zambia Revenue Authority, ZRA. My tax, your tax, our destiny.
You know I can take her a bit.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana. Banga kubunkirini dad.
Don't worry, man. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Hello, have you heard about LUSAKA? Do you know that you can advertise for as low as 150 kwacha for 30 seconds? Well, LUSAKA is here. Advertise on LUSAKA between 17 hours and 18 hours. Just tell us about the services that you offer and we'll gladly put you on the market. For more details, you can contact
+260 953 995099 +260 962 444 726 or +260 971 177 467.
LUSAKA, allowing your business to grow.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. Tourism and Arts Minister Ronald Chitotela has observed that community participation in wildlife conservation is crucial towards curbing poaching. Speaking when he paid a courtesy call on Paramount Chief Bezeni at his palace in Chipata, Mr. Chitotela believes Eastern Province has potential to succeed in the wildlife sector. He says for tourism to flourish, there is need to involve community in wildlife conservation. In the meantime, Paramount Chief Penzeni held government's commitment in the promotion of tourism. He said without community participation, government cannot effectively deliver development. Paramount Chief Penzeni said government's efforts in conserving wildlife shows that they are looking to the future. And still in the news, Paramount Chief Chitimukulu Kanyantamanga, the second of the Bemba-speaking people, says the agriculture sector has potential to overtake mining in earnings, advantaged by the fertile land that the country has. He says government's efforts to diversifying the economy away from mining to agriculture, manufacturing and tourism must be supported, as this is the only way to develop the country. The traditional leader was speaking when Zambia's ambassador to Ethiopia, Emmanuel Mwamba, paid a courtesy call on him at the Chitimukulu Palace in Mungwi district. And the Paramount Chief welcomed the cassava project and called on all stakeholders, such as the Chifwani concepts, to support rural and small-scale farmers to produce more of the crop to enhance their livelihoods. And Mr. Mwamba expressed gratitude for the valuable support he was receiving from Paramount Chief Chitimukulu and other traditional authorities in Northern Province. Mr. Mwamba, who is the promoter of Chifwani Concepts, says the concept is promoting the rapid scaling up of cassava farming and the use of the cash crop as a reliable income-generating and economic activity for rural communities following the rising demand for the crop for industrial and commercial use.
We presented the Chifwani Concepts, a cassava project in Northern Province, to His Royal Highness Paramount Chief Chitimukulu. He has received the project very well, and we took time to update him on the latest development regarding the offtake agreements we are signing with manufacturers in the subsector. He called on us to ensure that we support government's initiative for diversifying the economy and for ensuring that the dependence of the economy is not reliant on mining alone. And he said agriculture, I think, presents the biggest opportunity for our economy, and subsectors such as cassava could really help in mass employment in bringing income to rural communities.
The Anti-Fraud Bureau Zambia Limited Director Wilson Kalembe says claims by ZRA that ZMAT trucks were intercepted for carrying smuggled goods into Zambia worth 2.5 million kwacha is just an eye-opener of more serious fraudulent dealings being conducted by both ZRA and agents. In a statement to the media, Mr. Kalembe has argued the possibility that trucks can pass the borders of entry without the knowledge of ZRA examiners, not noticing the scam given they even pass through scanners before any value is approved by ZRA. A physical inspection is always conducted by examiners within ZRA. In this regard, Mr. Kalembe says suspending a clearing agent is not enough, but let both the clearing agent involved and the examiners be arrested and prosecuted rather than blaming ZMAT, because the company is simply a victim of fraud by both the clearing company and ZRA officers. Meanwhile, Mr. Kalembe has since urged ZRA to tell the Zambian people what has happened to over 40,000 vehicles currently registered by RATSA. Yesterday, ZRA Corporate Communications Manager Topsy Sikalinda told the nation that the authority had intercepted 9 trucks smuggled through Victoria Falls border post in Livingston. And still in the news, the Zambia National Men's Network for Gender and Development has urged couples and those in relationships to celebrate St. Valentine's Day responsibly and avoid situations that might lead to gender-based violence. Network National Coordinator Nelson Banda says the caution to couples comes from past experiences in which some cases of gender-based violence have been recorded on this day. Mr. Banda says it is expected that couples on this day use it to renew their commitment towards each other, and urged men especially to avoid extramarital relationships as they are one of the leading causes of GBV in homes. He notes that the escalation in GBV cases in the country is a source of concern, as they are an indication that a number of couples have found themselves in violent situations due to various reasons. The network has also called on parents to educate their teenage children, especially girls, about Valentine's Day so that they are not lured into sexual activities over a cup of ice cream and later get pregnant in the name of celebrating a Valentine's Day. We take another set of commercials. Do stay with us as we have international and sports news. Don't go away.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, downlights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
And why do you look so pale and busy scratching yourself?
Lamwandi, you know my skin is very sensitive. I've tried all the skin products and nothing seems to work.
Have you tried Oracle Pure Glycerin?
Oracle Pure Glycerin? What's that?
Just give me a minute.
Oracle Pure Glycerin gives your skin a youthful and healthy glow.
Ish, you're glowing. Don't tell me. Yes! I already know the secrets. Oracle Pure Glycerin!
Try Oracle Pure Glycerin for that perfect skin. 2021 is finally here. Zambia is at the crossroads heading towards general elections this August. In the world where fake news, biased reporting on national issues has become the order of the day, in a world where social media in most cases spills lies and exaggerated information, insightful coverage, Zambia needs one media. Living in a country where people are slowly promoting tribalism, hatred, bitterness and revenge, political temperature is heating up and people's hearts are perplexed. Zambia needs one media. Zambia being a Christian nation living under the lordship of Jesus Christ, the nation cannot afford a compromised gospel. Zambia needs a prophetic media house. For hope, peace and unity, Zambia needs Camnet television. For non-biased, factual reporting, balanced opinion, accurate news coverage, Zambia needs Camnet television. For national projects and development of our beloved country Zambia, watch Camnet TV on channel 274 DSTV, channel 98 on Go TV, and channel 106 on Topstar. Remember, Camnet TV is not just another channel.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. In international news, the conflict between Sudan's border with Ethiopia is affecting farmers in Gadaref. Fighting in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region has resulted in people who came as farm workers now coming into Sudan as refugees. Farmers there are now forced to hire workers from South Sudan after a reduction in labor from Ethiopia. In other news, the coronavirus pandemic has hit the profits of the world's flour industry. Zimbabwean growers were already struggling before the outbreak. Now their country is in its worst economic state in years. Still, farmers are refusing to give up. Al Jazeera has more.
Overseas demand for fresh-cut flowers plummeted last year because of COVID-19, and that affected Zimbabwe's biggest rose export company. Managers say orders dropped to about 50%, but this year they say demand is picking up. Zimbabwe has high levels of unemployment, and more orders mean more jobs.
On an average day, on a summer's day rather, we cut anywhere between 100,000 to 130,000 stems a day. We have 700 labour force who are working from 6:30 to about 11:30, 2:30 till 5. 700 people on cutting. So yeah, it's a non-stop operation.
More than 20 years ago, flour exports brought in a lot of foreign currency for the country. But under then-President Robert Mugabe's land reform program, the government seized thousands of white-owned commercial farms. Since then, the industry hasn't been what it used to be. Back in 2001, Zimbabwe was the 5th biggest exporter of flowers to the European Union. Then came years of economic decline and now COVID-19. Many growers left, but others are still here, carrying on. Kenya and Ethiopia are Africa's top flower exporters. Growers here explain how they've managed to stay in business.
We weren't dealing with the auction system. Okay, where the Kenyan and Ethiopian markets are dealing primarily with the auction system. We deal directly with customers. Okay, and our main customer base is the supermarkets. And supermarkets in Europe were still open because it was part of the essential, and that allowed us that flexibility of supplying those markets.
COVID has battered businesses and economies globally. It's no different on this farm. Workers here receive food parcels every month in addition to their salaries to help them push on. And they know their job security depends on being able to export roses to more global markets.
Mujahid Muhammad says this is the first harvest he's supervised with workers from South Sudan. In the past, his workforce has come from nearby Ethiopia, but this year, that is not possible.
The fighting on the border between us and them is affecting the workers, and our economic crisis is also turning workers away. They used to earn good money, but now our pound is constantly losing value.
His father, who owns more than 4,000 hectares of farmland here in Sudan's eastern Gadaref state, says the harvest has been slow this year.
South Sudanese workers cover up to 70% of the shortage of Ethiopian workers this year. So normally we'd have covered more in terms of harvest, but this year is different. We're slightly back in harvesting schedule.
Much of Gadaref is covered with fertile land, but Sudan's eastern border has been witnessing the consequences of Ethiopia's domestic issues. Fighting in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region has resulted in people, some who once came in as farm workers, now coming into Sudan as refugees. And since December, Sudan's military has moved to take over a fertile 3,000 square kilometer region in the state known as El Fashaga, pushing back Ethiopian farmers. The government uses a 1902 colonial agreement to claim the area, but ethnic Amhara farmers from Ethiopia say the area is part of their region and they have been farming it for nearly 5 decades without any objection from Sudan's previous government. The coronavirus pandemic has also reduced the number of Ethiopians coming in. Sudanese authorities say hundreds of thousands of Ethiopians looking for work used to come in annually through the 2 border crossings in Gadaref state. Their search for work sometimes takes them all the way to the capital, Khartoum. This is now the only official crossing that is functioning, and it's strictly only open to allowing Ethiopian workers to work in farms here in Gadaref state. Only 100,000 are allowed this year, a great reduction from previous years. Many workers who cross the border don't venture past this area in El Gallabat locality. It's a stretch of land where no paperwork is needed for Ethiopians to enter.
I work here and return to Ethiopia every evening. Whenever border tensions between our country and Sudan flares, we get affected. We're neighbors, we consider ourselves brothers, so we hope issues between Ethiopia and Sudan are settled so we can live and work in peace.
Hundreds of kilometers away in the farms, Mujahid and his father say they hope things work out for the better so their farms and many others like it in the state can continue to produce crops. Hiba Morgan, Al Jazeera, El Gallabat on the Sudan-Ethiopia border.
We now get into sports news. Now in sports news, Bruno Fernandes' stunning volley salvaged a point for Manchester United at struggling West Brom, but Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's side lost further ground in the Premier League title race. United moved back after Leicester in second place, but are now 7 points behind Manchester City, who also have a game in hand. Here are the highlights.
Can West Bromwich Albion add to that with a win here today to spark an unlikely escape to spread the ball into the wider areas? And Gallagher with a deeper cross in, and what a goal and what a start for West Bromwich Albion. A first Premier League goal for Mbaidian. That is a sensational opening from the Baggies.
Well, there's been a real conviction about their start, and I mean Diane has been very aggressive and assertive really in that whole move, and it was Peltier who made the earlier run, and he stayed in that.
Fred and a Brunel ahead of them. Here is Snodgrass though on the attack, working the 1-2 with Martial. Low cross in, but just behind Coleman. Rondon scored the only goal. He was on the end of a good ball inside the to save them, but Rashford. And the cross-in is bundled behind by Peltier. And the final touch was off Martial. A goal kick's been given. Brom repelled behind Rashford, but once again, West Brom were able to clear. And now, back in that vein here, Townsend. Snodgrass! And it's tipped over by De Gea, and West Brom so close to a second goal. Was the target. And now the flag is raised against Shaw. And across this, Peltier covered the run. Bruno Fernandes. Shaw. Beyond Cavani, and Bruno's United's talisman.
That's his weak foot, by the way.
When Manchester United were in a spot of bother, it is Bruno Fernandes who comes to the rescue once again.
Yeah, and so often this season we've seen that from Luke Shaw. I mean, Manchester United do have a left-sided bias, a stronger bias, because he's been so good, and he's just basically stood that up, and that is delightful. I mean, he hasn't gone to smash it, he's just gone at it in a controlled way.
That sports item brings us to the end of the news, but before we go, a recap of the headlines. Schemes to remove me from the ballot will not work, says HH, as UPND holds elective Congress. Measures to stabilize fuel prices are cosmetic charges pack. LUSAKA Water Utility in a 143 million kwacha financing deficit due to COVID-19. In international news, conflict between Sudan and Ethiopia hurts farming industry. And in sports news, Manchester United held in 1-1 draw by West Brom. We now look at the Camnet verse of the day, which is coming from the book of Romans 12, verse 10 to 12, and it reads, "Show family affection to one another with brotherly love. Outdo one another in showing honor. Do not lack diligence. Be fervent in spirit, serve the Lord. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in affliction. Be persistent in prayer." On behalf of the entire news production crew and myself, Liseli Kanyanga, thank you so much for watching Camnet TV News on Camnet TV, not just another channel.